information, there is a sign-up form over here on my right. Please sign the sheet. We'll get to that a little bit later down in the agenda. And we are ready to go, Angela.
Chris?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Lisa? Yes. Caitlin? Yes. Tammy?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
7 present.
Okay, next you have an agenda in front of you. We need an approval and adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sherry Schutte, seconded by Roger Bridgman, to approve and adopt the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
Next up, for the month of August, we are going to go over 2 of our board norms. So number 9 is we will be guided by the mission statement, which focuses on professional development, which enhances success for all students, and we will use humor as appropriate to help us work better together. That is super important. Okay, next up, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is our tax rate hearing. There's several moving pieces to this tax rate hearing. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Davidson to start the discussion.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into the tax rate hearing, and I'd be glad to meet with anybody to give further explanation. But to kind of keep this simple and flowing here, in the 24-25 school year, real estate is estimated at $112 million, personal property $40 million. Combined real estate personal property tax then is $153 million. So the adjusted assessed evaluation with tax revenue is received is $153 million. So this is how we get money for our school district through these taxes through your personal property and your assessment of agriculture, residential, or commercial. So the nice thing is this has generated for us some new money this year, $88,230. And then $85,000 of that's coming from new construction, and then $2,600 is coming from reassessment. So our revenues for reassessment, we grew 0.06% there, but it's good. We're tracking positively. But what essentially this does, this would set our property tax rate at $2.75, and then our debt service at 56 cents for a total of $3.31 for the school year.
Does anyone have questions about this first piece? So to move forward, we do need a motion to set our tax rate, incidental fund at $2.75 and debt services at 56 cents.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Lisa Elrod, seconded by Roger Bridgman, that the tax rates for the Crawford County R2 School District be established as follows. Incidental Fund, Fund 10, $2.75, and Debt Services Fund, Fund 30, at 56 cents. All those in favor?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
Okay, our next motion that we will need tonight is to authorize the superintendent to make transfers each month. So do you want to speak a little bit more?
Sure. So this motion, what it does is all that money that is generated goes into Fund 1, and then throughout the year we have to put it into Fund 2, which is what we use to pay the teachers. So at the end of the year we zero out Fund 2, goes to Fund 1. So this allows me the authority to transfer that throughout the year and keep everything balanced.
This is a very common practice.
Roger Bridgman, seconded by Tammy Palmer, that the superintendent be authorized to transfer each month an amount from the incidental fund to the teacher's fund necessary to meet the obligations of the teacher fund. The superintendent is also authorized to make internal transfers within the 2024-25 budget to maintain positive account balances in each budget account. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
Okay, and then the last piece of our tax rate hearing is a little bit more potentially in-depth.
It is. So with this, it's a good problem to have. So our assessed evaluation has grown since we've done the bond series. We've got a 2013 and a 2017, but since those years, our assessed evaluation has grown. So what you just approved was the 56-cent debt service, so that's multiplied to a portion of that to get our money to pay essentially our mortgage on our campus improvements, stuff like that. So the good thing we've had is that's grown, so we've got extra money in there, but what we need to do is keep that Fund 3 balance. So to be good stewards of our funds for our taxpayers, we're looking at doing a deficiency this evening, or defeasance, I'm sorry, not deficiency, but defeasance, which would allow us to put that money into escrow. But we can't prepay that bond until March 1st of 2027. So for this, and to explain a little further, I have Mr. Wigman from LJ Hart with us, and he's prepared a nice preliminary financial analysis of our district. And feel free to ask him questions as well as he goes through this.
It's very nice to see you all tonight. I'm Brad Wegman with LJ Hart & Company, and I've been working with Dr. Davidson on the tax levy calculations, and particularly your debt service fund. As he noted, there's too much money in the debt service fund, so a defeasance is just the technical term for making a prepayment when you have too much money, and they call it a defeasance when the bonds aren't callable. And so what it means is we have to take the money that we're going to use to prepay and put it in an escrow account so that it's totally safe, since we can't prepay the bonds at this moment. So the funds have to be locked up in an escrow account, conservatively invested until the call date when they can prepay those issues. So we'll flip through the booklet, and if you all have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask. Inside the first few pages, we've got a picture of our staff, which includes 4 retired superintendents in each corner of the state, and so they help a lot of districts with the operating levy calculation, your Fund 1, and then I work on the Form C calculations for the debt service levy. On page Roman numeral 3, we have the picture of the map of the state of Missouri broken out by school districts. All the ones in yellow are school districts that our firm's worked with since 1992. Then we flip a few pages ahead. Page actual number 1 of the booklet, titled Exhibit A, is the assessed value growth calculations. We've got it broken into 3 sets of calculations. The top is the AV growth over the last 5 years. You've averaged annual growth of 3.78%. Then going back to periodic reassessment, 1996-97, 8.26%. So in our projections, we're assuming future AV growth of just 2% to be conservative and well below where you've been the past 5 years at 3.78. Then on page 2, for some historical reference, we have your adjusted levies by fund going all the way back to fiscal year 1993-94, presently $2.75 in Fund 1, debt service of 56 cents, total levies $3.31, and it has been there ever since fiscal year 2006-2007. Kept that totally constant, which is good. The highest the levy's ever been was $3.56 back in the late 90s. And so that was mainly derived from the debt service fund being 81 cents back then versus 56 cents now. On page 3 and page 4, we have your 2 outstanding bond issues. The first one is the Series 2013 bonds. They're almost completely repaid. The final maturity is in 2025. That financing had a call feature of 9 years. On the next page, on page 2, we have the remaining payments on your 2017 bonds. The final maturity on this financing is 2030. The coupon rate on that back end is 4%. This financing had a call feature of 10 years. And so the important thing with call features, we're all familiar with mortgages. On your mortgage, you can make a prepayment any month. You can refinance if rates drop at any time, but with school bonds, you can only make a prepayment or refinance based on the terms of your call feature. And so these two existing bonds in 13 and 17 were done by a competitor of ours. And so the main thing with our firm that's led to our success with the MAP and so many yellow school districts, we work with over 300 of the 500 school districts in the state, is Larry Hart, when he started our company, just made it a goal looking at all these long call features of 10 years and said, you know, we're gonna try to make these more favorable to the school districts. And so our firm's policy is to try to get call features of 5 years or less on every financing, allows for to refund more frequently when rates drop, which has been very frequent since 2008, then with the pandemic in 2020. But then the other side of it, as Dr. Davidson noted, is if you can't refinance, your assessed valuation growth has been healthy, and then you have a need for just being able to prepay bonds. But if they're not callable, then it's not as economical to be able to prepay when you still have to pay the investor. So since the 13 bonds are almost completely repaid, the prepayment we'll have to make will be on these 17 bonds. On the back end, to save the most interest expense, we want to pay off the highest rate of 4%. These bonds, though, are not callable until 2027, so the investors with that long call feature still are entitled to their interest until that 27 call date. The IRS limits you when you set the money aside. Right now in short-term treasuries, you can earn over 5%. But once you escrow this money to prepay these bonds that aren't callable, the IRS limits you to the bond yield for arbitrage, which is about 2.08%. So for 2 years' time, you're paying the investors 4%. You're capped by the IRS at earning only just slightly above 2%. And so it's a loss on the $1 million prepayment of about $40,000. Your savings by prepaying this is about $100,000. So backing off the $40,000 of inefficiency from the long call feature, your net savings is about $60,000. And so we've got on the next page the statement of cash flows that gets into the specifics of why we need to do this. So in light green, we have the revenue from your 56-cent debt service fund levy with your assessed valuation growing at just 2%. Then we have your payments on those two bond issues. Then we have the yellow column and the blue column, and we've blown those up on the next page. So the yellow column is your balance in the debt service account each year after you make all your payments. This year, after you made all your payments on your bonds, you ended up with $1,318,970. Your upcoming payments, which is what the state auditor's office looks at, how much cash do you have on hand versus what are your payments in the next 2 years. So you've got $1.3 million in cash, but your next 2 years payments are just $612,000 and then $642,000. Then next year your revenues grow by your payments by another $300,000. So next summer you'll have $1.6 million versus payments of just $600 some odd thousand. So when we plug that into the calculation to set your levy on page 7, takes your current assessed valuation, your payments in 25 on line 2, your payments in 26 on line 4. Line 6 is your balance. It calculates to having so much money in there, double your each year's payment, it calculates to levying 0 cents. And so we don't want to drop it all the way down to 0. You want to maintain that steady, constant levy as you have for so many years. So that's where the indication is that we need to prepay. And so we calculated, page 8 is after we remove the $620,000 maturity, the entire 2030 maturity, and then $380,000 of the maturity in 2029. That would be the remaining schedule after the 27 call date. Then on page 9, we have the updated calculation after we do that $1 million prepayment or defeasance. It knocks those excess balances down, allows a maximum levy of 64 cents with about an 8-cent rollback to stay put right at that 56-cent levy where you've always been. And then just looking at various options for y'all moving forward based on the strength of your revenues from your debt service fund, keeping the 56 cents in there. Dr. Davidson had me run some calculations on just various different options. And so we've got on page 10 and 11 is those balances after we pull the $1 million out. So we've reduced it, instead of having 1.6 million in 24-25. On page 11, we're down to 589,000. But then those balances quickly shoot right back up over to $1 million. So that's the fact that these balances are so strong is an indication that making prepayments is required just to keep it. But also, if there's any facilities needs at all that you all wish to tackle, you're in a position to pursue those facilities with the 56-cent levy without increasing it. And so just running calculations on the maximum, this is the high water mark of what you could do. So you can easily accommodate anything well below this. On page 12 is a calculation of the district's legal bonding capacity. In the state of Missouri, school districts are legally able to borrow up to 15% of your assessed valuation. So we have your assessed valuation, then we take into account the bonds that are outstanding. So your legal capacity on 15% of your AV is 22.9 million. The most that you can afford to borrow without increasing that 56-cent levy is $12 million for the April 2026 election. So it wouldn't be this year, it'd be over a year from now. The filing deadline for that would be last Tuesday of January. So it would be January of 2026 for the April 2026 election. So plenty of time to think about what you may or may not want to do. And then we have the updated statement of cash flows, adding $12 million of new financing on page 13, with those balances versus payments blown up on the last page on page 14. So your 56-cent levy can easily accommodate borrowing $12 million without being increased. I think that's the safe number to be at. Drops those balances down for about 5 years, which is where having a shorter call feature is important. We would structure any size financing you do with a short call feature, just to be able to make prepayments and get free and clear of it, to where we're not stuck paying $40,000 when we're setting aside the money. Let's save all $100,000 next time. And so that's how that would look. If you all, 12 million is way more than you need, maybe only 3 or 4 million for some smaller things, roofs, paving, security upgrades. You can easily accommodate that, and probably could borrow it on a much shorter maturity schedule, maybe from instead of 20 years, 15, maybe 12, with a call feature to make prepayments. Another thing schools do, depending on the size, maybe some schools look at this and say, man, we could use all 12 million, that's what we need to do. Some schools say maybe no more than 4. But looking at how you could accommodate 12 if you only needed 4, one thing that is also an option is potentially doing a levy transfer of moving some of your debt service fund to Fund 1, and that's a simple majority voter approval. Doing a bond issue is 4/7 of the April 26 election, so 57.14. But it's a lot of information. But as Dr. Davidson said at the onset, it's you've got too much money in that debt service fund, need to prepay $1 million, and then look at options for the future, because you all have plenty of money to pursue facilities needs if you have any. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on the presentation that was just given? No. Do you have questions in general? Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was very nicely.
So we will need a motion to establish an escrow account, basically to defease and prepay the $1 million principal amount.
I'll make that motion.
All of that.
Yeah, exactly what
All
she
that
said.
said.
If I look on this,
Yeah, it's in there.
motion by Tammy Palmer, seconded by Caitlin Mace, to approve the resolution authorizing the establishment of an escrow account with BOKF&A Kansas City, Missouri, to defease and prepay $1 million principal amount of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2017, and authorizing the district to enter into an escrow agreement. All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Opposed? 7 yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
next up, we do have board recognition, and I believe we have one to recognize tonight.
All right, this one is kind of near and dear, and I think this sometimes goes unnoticed in positions that we have within our district. We always try to talk about our administrators, our teachers, our faculty, our staff, and everybody like that, but this one's kind of a different thing tonight that we're going to do. But it says Crawford County R2 School District now has a certified school safety specialist. SRO Betty Post of the Crawford County R2 School District has received certification as a school safety specialist. Officer Post of the Cuba Police Department attended the recent School Safety Academy hosted by Missouri School Boards Association Center for Education Safety. The event was held from June 24th to 26th, 2024 in Branson. It is designed to train and certify school safety coordinators in comprehensive school safety planning and development. School safety personnel from multiple school systems throughout the state attend the academy at no cost to local school districts. It's essential that students, teachers, and staff are in a safe learning environment. Center for Education's Safety's chief students, teachers, let me go back there again. Center for Education Safety, chief students, teachers, and staff are in a safe learning environment. Oh, I just repeated that, never mind. It's been a long week already, guys. Operating Officer John McDonald said schools must have processes and protocols in place and have trained staff to respond accordingly to ensure our students can focus on learning, that he added. Topics at the School Safety Academy included support systems for behaviors, legal aspects of school safety, trauma-informed schools and mental health resources, intervention and de-escalation, emergency preparedness, and plan building, behavioral risk and threat assessments, cybersecurity fundamentals, and more. The CES School Safety Academy includes the basic training needed to certify school safety coordinators with plans to expand to more advanced training and certification at the program. This was given this evening by Ms. Myra Siebert, and she wanted me to make sure that you knew. This is not something that she had to do. This she did on her own. On top of her job, on top of being here every day, she chose to do that for our district. That speaks volumes that she cares about you, she cares about us, and she cares about kids. So, at this time, Officer Post.
Thank you.
For all you do, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
You probably got a big one. You can have all of it.
Next up, we have citizen participation. This meeting is a business meeting of the Board of Education held in public. 30 minutes will be allotted to residents of the school district and staff to give the board the opportunity to listen to citizens. Remarks will be limited to 3 minutes and to 1 appearance, thus allowing for maximum number of participants in the allotted time in which citizens are to speak to issues. The board will not respond to comments at this time, but you will receive a response to any questions from the district superintendent and/or a member of the board within a reasonable amount of time after this meeting. Additionally, members of our community may contact individual board members to engage in dialogue about school matters. During this public comment period, we ask that speakers refrain from using profanity, and speakers who violate this rule may be asked to leave. I said all of that to tell you that we have no one signed up for citizen participation. Yep. Okay, next up we have consent agenda. There are 6 different subsections under consent agenda, ranging from minutes to a summer school report. If anyone has questions about individual items in this, we can pull them out. And if there's not questions about anything in particular, we need a motion.
So moved.
second. Motion by Roger Bridgman, seconded by Lisa Elrod, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
Okay, next up, we have the financial statement and action on the bills. There are 2 check runs in your packet. I will tell you all as well that the second check run did kind of pull items from the first one. So if you see items that have been doubled up, they were not double paid.
They just showed up in both.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Okay.
We will need a motion to approve the bills. So we can-
Motion by Sherry Schudy, seconded by Lisa Elrod, to approve the financial statement and action on the August bills as presented. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
Abstain.
6 yes, 1 abstain.
Next up, let's move into administrative reports. We will start with board and committee reports. Sherry, do you have anything to give us today?
Not really. Region 12 meeting is next Wednesday at Herman.
I will add that every board member is signed up to attend that. I appreciate everybody for doing that, for signing up.
That's good. It shows it's very strong when your board members show up to these meetings, so.
One school, one
We
community,
used to
one.
win prizes.
We used to win prizes.
Would you like team shirts?
No, we
No.
used to get money.
No.
Remember when we used to get money when if you had all your board members there, they would.
And actually, Cuba won.
We like 3 years in a row.
3 years in a
Yeah,
row.
we did.
We're
not competitive.
That competitive part?
No.
Right here. This group is pretty competitive.
Yeah. I don't have much, I really don't have anything else. I do have the part for the MSBA annual meeting. I do have the agenda for that. It's pretty simple, pretty much the same as what we've had in the last year. And I actually contacted MSBA today because I do know they've been in negotiations for building their new school safety center. And those are still ongoing right now, but they want to have those finished, I believe, by the end of September, because they do have a large grant from the state of Missouri to help build this. So,
Do you mind expanding on what that is a little bit?
it's I'm not sure I'm not sure exactly what you guys all did in Branson. This is going to be people from the school, our SROs, different ones can go up, and they're going to have scenes set up in some of the areas, and they're going to talk about intruders, how to react. And you can go as often as you want, because every time you go, they're going to be changing the scenarios around a little bit. Other things that pertain to school safety, they're going to have there. It's a pretty big building. Eventually, they want to move their main office there, because MSBA has grown and has hired several people in the last few years. So that's their big thing, school safety.
We do have the mayor conference coming up as well. If anyone would like to attend that, tell Angela and she should register. Next up, let's go through some building principal reports. Let's start at elementary.
Hi guys.
Thanks for
the pictures. So I love pictures, so you're gonna have a lot of those. I kind of followed suit with what Mr. Cross has had in place before, so I didn't just totally throw you guys for a loop. So if there were some things missing, as far as you don't meet our goals on there every single time, and I'm taking up too much space or time, talking too much, just let me know, and I'm happy to make those changes. Things are doing well in our elementary building. I pointed out some of the big things we have going on, as you can see with the pictures. Do you want me to go through each of those, or do you
No,
guys see them?
Give
And
us
then just
some-
other updates?
Give us a great positive for the first 2 days of school. Something.
We've made it 3. I mean, I'm not counting, but we have made it 3 days. If I had to read what Roger just read, I would probably cry. Because
So give us
my brain's mush.
Give us a great positive.
Okay, so a couple things going on in our building. I did point out here that we started some new PLC teams. We are working on becoming a PBIS building and trying to mimic a lot of the things that they have in place at the middle school. we are choosing to call our PBIS building Positive Pals. And so that we can relate that more to the students and age appropriate. So where when we're in the hallways and in the classrooms and stuff, we can say things like, are you being a positive pal? Is that the positive pal way? Because when you look at a 7-year-old and say, is that the PBIS way? They're going to be like, I don't even know what PBIS is. And I probably didn't until I was 3 years into teaching. So it makes sense. We have a Grandparents' Day coming up that we're going to bring grandparents into our building. It is quick, out of the gate for the school year, so we are getting those posted on Remind, Class Dojo, Seesaw. Those are our communication pieces we have in place, and we'll get it put on ThrillShare to get grandparents in the building. We will just host them in the gym. Because it is so quick, it's not like last year I think they did something like Donuts with Grown-Ups, to where we do try to get all the family involvement as we can. We're going to advertise this, what grandparents can come. We will have them in the gym. We're going to try to make them feel special. Those kiddos will be in there. Those that don't have a grandparent, we're going to kind of go on with our regular routine, since we do have a lot of other things in place where we involve our entire families. But Brittany in our cafeteria has a heart of gold, and she is going to offer donuts that day. So the kids that may not get to go in the gym for the Grandparents' Day thing, they're still going to get donuts in the cafeteria. And so that's really nice. Melanie and I have started talking block party stuff, which is the title night we have. I'm still kind of learning all the dynamics of that. She tells me that I can make changes, but I don't know that she wants any changes made. She sounds like she's a well-oiled machine, and she has great things in place. And I mean that nicely. She's got a folder, she's ready to go, she's got a system down. So I'm looking forward to that. I love any family and community involvement. Like I said, I'm a talker, so getting families there and having someone to listen and talk to is nice. We're going to do our emergency drills tomorrow morning. We'll go through those, see how it is. It's always different with new admin in the building, new safety people in place, new teachers. So I'm sure there will be kinks to work out there. But that is why we do safety drills, because there is room for error and hiccups. We will do 4 planned ones throughout the year, and then we will do a surprise drill at some point. I love our new shirts. We're bringing back fall and spring conferences this year. They will be required to do both. With the older grade levels, though, we're going to look at that student-led conference approach maybe. But getting those parents in the building was not necessarily a concern, but a goal of ours was to get more family involvement in there. So we're kicking it off with a few other things like that. So we'll have a PBIS Positive Pals assembly tomorrow with our kids. I heard that the middle schools was hopping. We may or may not have some teachers come over going, that was amazing, but their ears were covered. So lots of fun. So we'll have ours. Ours is going to be more going over rules and procedures and kind of getting that in place, because I think our kiddos need that first before we can introduce too much fun, or they don't really take it serious quite yet. So a lot of fun things going on. I'm having fun. Every day holds a new adventure. I got to hold a baby bunny today that was found on the playground and was brought to my office by Tammy Priest. And I said, what do you want me to do with it? And she said, she said, what should I do with it? And I said, whatever you think is best. And she said, okay, and walked out of the office. And I was like, so I'm at my computer with my mouse, holding this bunny, waiting for Ag to come over, because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to make it, but here we are. So check that off of, oh, there we go, we found an owner for it. But yeah, so never a dull moment. I'm sure in every building it's like that, but that's my favorite part of getting into administration, is that there is always something new, and your day goes by so fast. There's just not enough hours in the day, but I love it. Okay.
Great.
She's like, yeah, again.
We may need to start going the other way.
We can do that. And they're going to set timer.
Follow me.
They're going to set timer.
Short and sweet, okay?
We had a super turnout for open house this year. What we did is we put everything into a folder with the student's name on it, and that really sped up the process. And so with each grade level, we probably had less than 15 folders in each of the grade levels, so that tells us, that we had a lot of parents there, so we were excited about that. Like she said, we did do our PBS assembly yesterday, and that was our surfing into a successful school year. So we had staff, they dressed up and participated, and then we did some games involving beach boards and beach balls and surfboards and things like that, and played some music and everything and had a good time. Teachers were really good sports, the ones that participated. We made them do some things that, was like, I don't know if I can get down on the floor and do that. But they did, they jumped right in. And we are doing our drills tomorrow as well. And we'll pretty much follow the same suit. We do those once a quarter, and then one of those is unannounced at some point in time. But yeah, I mean, still adjusting to Lumen and trying to figure out all the quirks of that. But that's just a process, and I think we're getting everything whittled down with schedules and stuff like that. So hopefully next week we'll kind of back at ground zero with all that, and the kids will be where they're supposed to be and know where they're going. So yeah, so jumping right in.
Thank you so much. Let's go to the high school.
So I'm looking at her packet of her board report, and I'm looking at my
I
piece
put
of
pictures in there,
paper
and
with very little.
that's why I said I put
You're
the
fine.
It's
So, enrollment, I couldn't make the new system tell me how many in each grade because we had 25 new enrollments at the high school. So, some of them are returning from Cuba after they had left us in earlier grades, and I think we have 5 that are coming from other districts. That number's probably not even accurate right now because
Should be
we're still
around
shuffling.
421-ish mark.
That's what, I know we had a couple that came in and then I transferred 3 out the other day. So we're getting there. It's really hard at the high school to just track down some of these kids that were virtual, that have homeschooled, and you know, we knew it would happen. They decide they don't want to come to school, they want to be virtual. They end up going homeschool because they lost credits, and then they think, oh, I need a diploma and I need to come back, and now what are you going to do to help me? So we are working through those students because of course we're going to help them get a diploma. It's just finding the right path for them. So we so far are looking at, we have 3 that are paperwork's done for MOOPs. We'll graduate those probably in October. 2 of them actually already have all the coursework done. They're just doing prep. So you'll be seeing graduation pictures of them very soon in the year. We were at 7 virtual students. I think we added 2 more since then. One of them, it's for medical reasons. So we don't love virtual, but it keeps them in our district and keeps them working, then we do it. And then we just have, there's 11, they're in and out of ALC. We have a few that are behind on credit, so they're only in there maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, and then they're in NC classes the rest of the day. So all of those students should get their work done and graduate on time with their class. And then we only have 2 students starting in ALC just for behaviors and hoping to transition them out at semester. So we had some good stuff with our seniors already. I'm excited. Our seniors are super excited too. We did senior sunrise this morning, so I've been here since 5:30. That's why we talk short, Tess. But they did
There was
ask
no
if-
boot camp for this, you know. No one said TikTok and cartwheels and back to school.
She's not bitter.
So I'm getting TikTok famous, just so you guys know.
Yeah,
I'm
you
on
are.
my
Yeah,
page.
you are.
The kids are now suggesting things I need to do, so I think that's pretty cool. I figure if they're watching it, they're paying attention to something.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty good, but just senior sunrise, the service was really cool this morning. The seniors suggested we switch it to the beginning of the year, and I think it went well. Abby was there. There was no storm before it, and everybody was losing electric like last year, but everybody made it on time, and the donuts finally made it, and had some good music, and let that play while everybody's coming in this morning. So I think we had about 40 kids, 40 to 50 kids today, so that was good.
Great, that's awesome.
Now-
We have 10 new special ed students that moved to our district, so my number's off too. They all want to come to Cuba because they heard we had a great special ed department.
They did.
That is,
I heard that.
That is a great positive for your report.
Yes, very
Way to-
good.
Way to spend that.
Super excited.
I can send you some more.
No, thank you.
Lots more.
10's plenty.
Okay. Abby, would you like to share any news with us from the start of the school year?
Well, I think senior sunrise definitely did go very well. We did lose a balloon this morning, our 25.
I wondered what that was.
I was
Yeah.
like, the seniors are gonna get it. We'll
It
post
flew
it.
away, so it's okay. Senior parking spots are really fun too. I enjoy my parking spot a lot. I think it's a good thing for us to have. Makes everyone very happy. We did just establish 2 new clubs in the high school too. We brought Pep Club back. Everyone was very
Yay.
excited. And
I know you were, I do.
and
book club is starting next week on Wednesday.
I think that's super important just to, for every person to find something to relate to, so good job.
Absolutely.
And also, I think the energy that especially the three of you are bringing, and it's next level, but I think it makes you more relatable to kids. And so anything you can do to get kids excited, even if they're like, oh, cringe, what even?
Winning, if they're cringing, it's
Like, I
gotta
don't
be
know
working.
that would actually
You gotta
means
get their
I've never
attention.
used it in my life, but anyway.
I think Joe Cross made us look like damp, Marie. Like, I think we weren't
So
able to
good
shine.